I don't see how sincerity could be involved in such a silly so-called religion.
In nomine Satanas, Lucifer excelsis Dei. In the name of our most exalted God, Satan, Lucifer, I command thee to come forth. Come forth, and bestow these blessings of hell upon us.
Wait a minute. Is this what paganism is about? Satan worship? Really? Since the advent of television as a form of media, Hollywood has been forming our minds as to what a witch is, and even more subliminally, what a pagan is. Through movies such as the Blair Witch Project movies, The Craft, the Harry Potter films, to TV shows like Sabrina and Charmed, the witch and pagans are painted in both good and bad light. However, more often than not, they are painted as an old hag with a deep, sinister plot. But is this what being a pagan really is? To answer this question and more, I turn to a pagan high priestess in the local San Antonio community. What is paganism to you?
Well, I want to start out by emphasizing that the perspective of what paganism is as a religion is very individual to the practicing pagan, just as there are many denominations within Christianity, for example. Paganism is a nature-based religion in which all things are sacred and divine. Paganism is polytheistic, meaning we worship many of the old gods. Personally, as I believe in the polarity of all things, I worship both the god and the goddess equally. Though I believe in many gods and goddesses, I feel that there is a supreme god and goddess, and that they are the creators of all things, seen and unseen. I believe in reincarnation, in which the soul continues on after bodily death. After many incarnations here on earth, and after one's soul has lived life to its fullest, learning all that there is, one's deity will allow them to stay in a place what we call the Summerlands. This pagan heaven, if you will, is a place of eternal afterlife. I believe that being a pagan is more than just a religion. It's a lifestyle. Though I do not declare myself as a Wiccan, I do agree with the writings that the Wiccan Reed states, and harm ye none, do as ye will.
How long have you been a pagan?
I've been a practicing pagan for 16 years. For the first 13 years, I was a solitary practitioner, and I have been a high priestess of a coven for the past 3 years.
What brought you to paganism?
This is a tough question to answer. I'll try to keep it short. I would say I was baptized Methodist. I did not grow up in the church and attended very infrequently. And actually, I'm quite thankful that my spirituality was left to my own choosing, as I was never forced into a particular belief system. When I was around the age of 10, I had become fully interested in science and had difficulty putting science and religion together in my head. It wasn't until I became an adult that I came more to terms with, despite all scientific evidences, that there still had to be higher powers at work, sort of masked within science. And coming from a small town, I did not know the word pagan, or that there were others that practiced an old religion that was out there. I just thought that my thinking was different. In later years, I began to explore astrology, and then types of divination, until I finally found a book on paganism and realized that that's what fit me. In 1997, I had dedicated myself fully to the craft of paganism.
What do you think the world views you as a pagan as?
Well, that has changed several times through the years, but from my experience, the mainstream world, being predominantly Christian, probably views pagans first and foremost as devil worshippers, sacrificing living creatures while hiding in the dark. However, I neither believe nor give my personal energy to the Christian devil. The sacrifices I make aren't any different from any other American household. And as far as hiding in the dark, it would be very hard to worship under the moon, which is very sacred to pagans during the day.
Do you mind the term witch?
Not only do I mind it, I embrace it. The word originally meant wise one. It's sort of like being proud of your heritage.
Tell us a little bit about the types of rituals that pagans do.
Of high holy days, there are 8 high holy days a year called Sabbats. And we have Espits, which are our new moon and full moon rituals. Other reasons we might have rituals are birthrights, marriages, which are called hand fastings, and death rites, or crossings, requiems, at the end of this life.
Is there any kind of initiation into paganism?
I would say yes, but now I have to say, for as far as I know, for most covens there are. If you're solitary, it could be a simple, quiet ritual.
I have a clip of a pagan ritual that was done in the 60s. Would you mind taking a look at it and maybe describing what's going on within the ritual?
Absolutely.
Here the high priestess takes up her sword in order to cast the circle. Casting a circle creates sacred space for worship. As a sort of shield, the cast circle creates a barrier of protection for all those within the ritual. When finished, she places the sword upon the altar. The high priestess bows her head in prayer, most likely asking that the divine guide and guard their ritual. She then takes up a censer, burning some type of incense. She takes the censer to each of the quarters that represent the cardinal directions and the elements of air, fire, water, and earth. In doing this, the sacred circle is being cleansed of any negativity or unwanted energies. The high priestess calls the quarters, beginning in the east, asking the elements to guard the circle and witness their rite. Here she takes up a vessel from the altar. This vessel probably holds some type of oil, mixed with any selection of herbs that she feels is most sacred. The oil is meant for anointing those who enter the circle. The reason for doing this is for the cleansing of the spiritual body, much like the self-anointing of holy water that a Catholic does upon entering the church. The high priest closes the gate to the sacred circle. The coven members join hands representing an unbroken circle and that all things are interconnected. The coven members begin to move clockwise while chanting, growing faster in their movement and louder in their chant in order to raise energy within their circle. In this particular ritual, the members are invoking deity, their god or gods, through their chanting. The high priest just took up a cord from the altar, telling me immediately that this particular ritual is a rite of initiation. After opening the gate to the circle, the initiate is brought to the threshold of the circle and prepared for her rite of passage. She is bound with a cord in cable tow fashion, and in a moment she will be blindfolded. The binding of one's body represents one giving up their will to their gods, and by being blind one is able to see deep within themselves, within their soul, where their true self resides. The high priestess holds her sword to the initiate's heart, as she is asked how she will enter the sacred circle. She typically would answer with, "In perfect love and in perfect trust." The sword is lowered, and the initiate is brought into the sacred circle. As she is lowered to kneel before the altar, she is seemingly a little uncomfortable in this position. Though never in pain, this is typically done so as to remember the rite of initiation. The initiate is usually asked questions regarding their individual spirituality, their dedication to their faith, and such. Initiates may also be given challenges by other coven members that are for his or her own betterment.
Does this video clip represent the view of most pagans?
I believe that the video was a pretty good basic depiction of a pagan ritual, given that it was in the 60s. However, being a nature-based religion, I imagine, weather permitting, most rituals would be held outdoors, so that's the first thing that struck me when I watched it. Keep in mind that all rituals are as individual as the practitioner, so they can vary. This just goes to show you how diverse the religion of paganism is.